On the market, there aren't all that many compact SUVs that harmoniously combine the advantages of their class with the practicality of a wagon. Among those few that do exist, the Subaru Outback is arguably the most popular model. This car steps beyond the typical limitations of its class, offering an unmatched off-road driving experience and practicality in a compact form. Like most cars, one of Subaru's key models has its drawbacks. Today, we will look at 7 reasons why the Subaru Outback might not be the best choice for you. Reason number 7, weak base engine. Although Subaru offers a choice of powertrains, the engines are not the Outback's strongest suit. The base 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine with 182 horsepower won't win you any races, but it handles its tasks relatively well if you don't need a powerful motor. However, its shortcomings go deeper than just a lack of power. Over the last decade, Subaru has equipped its unique horizontally opposed engines with continuously variable transmissions to compensate for the low fuel economy inherent to the brand's signature all-wheel drive system. This strategy has generally not panned out. Subaru hasn't won any awards for fuel economy, but it has run into the drawbacks of the CVT. The constant drone of the CVT has faded into the past, as modern Subaru transmissions strive to fix the issue. However, the Outback can't fully overcome its limitations. The CVT operates slowly and is tuned clumsily, leading to mediocre acceleration from 0 to 100 km per hour in about 8 5/10 seconds. The base engine stands out only in terms of fuel savings, though the term "stands out" is used with a big stretch here. This brings us to another reason why the Subaru Outback might not suit everyone. Reason number 6. Low fuel economy of the optional engine. The base engine gets 9 liters per 100 kilometers in the city and 7 3/10 liters per 100 kilometers on the highway, making it competitive but not impressive. However, there's another option that seems to solve the performance issues of the base engine and is positioned as a more successful choice. Unfortunately, the 2.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine with 260 horsepower has its own problems, mainly with fuel economy. According to EPA data, it gets 10 7/10 liters per 100 kilometers in the city and 8 liters per 100 kilometers on the highway, which is significantly more than the non-turbo version. What's more, the wilderness off-road trim worsens these figures even further, dropping them to 11 2/10 liters per 100 kilometers in the city and a disappointing 9 liters per 100 kilometers on the highway due to the increased weight, height, and off-road tires. Even in terms of performance, the turbo variant leaves something to be desired. The clumsy CVT tuning makes the turbo Outback sluggish off the line, and as you can see, not all that economical either. Maybe it's time to bring back classic automatic transmissions, at least in Subaru's top models, but the Japanese company probably won't rush into such an expensive solution. Reason number 5. Clumsy design. It's safe to say that Subaru's design language isn't the most captivating in the industry. To put it mildly, with the exception of models like the Impreza or BRZ, Subaru cars look like some of the clumsiest on the market, especially the company's crossovers, and in particular, the wagon-like Outback. This hasn't stopped it from becoming one of the company's best-selling models in the United States for the last 3 decades, of course, but you can't ignore this potential drawback. What's more, the wilderness off-road version exacerbates the style issues, adding extra elements like massive plastic wheel arch cladding, roof rails, or underbody protection. On top of that, wilderness models have nearly 1 inch more ground clearance and massive off-road wheels and tires. Overall, it creates a mess that's hard to ignore, despite the impressive off-road capabilities. However, despite the ungainly exterior, no one can deny that the Outback has its own personality. It's a rare blend of a bygone-era wagon and a modern crossover, which many people appreciate. Inside, the Outback reveals its full potential not because it's refined, stylish, or luxurious, but thanks to a simple, calm, and most importantly, incredibly spacious cabin that's hard to find analogs for on the market. Reason number 4. Inconvenient infotainment system. The further back you go, the more problematic the infotainment system becomes. Subaru has recently fixed some issues, but old shortcomings still haunt the Outback, especially in the lower end of the lineup, where the crossover is equipped with a disappointingly small 7-inch touchscreen. Opting for the base Outback model deprives you not only of the new 11 6/10 touchscreen and updated infotainment system, but also larger icons. Because of the small screen size, it's hard to set anything other than the physical volume and climate controls, and navigating the menus often requires extra care. As a result, managing the base model's infotainment system without distraction is tricky even for experienced users. Reason number 3. Spartan base models. The shortcomings of the base Subaru Outback version aren't limited to the small infotainment screen. In many ways, it feels under-equipped and doesn't justify its price. Fortunately, stepping up to the next trim doesn't hit the wallet too hard, but more on that later. The base Outback model also deprives you of convenient technologies that are often standard in competitors, entry-level trims like power-adjustable seats, wireless connectivity features, extra USB ports, and so on. Reason number 2. Uninteresting driving dynamics. Let's admit it, the Subaru Outback can be quite engaging on light and moderate off-road surfaces thanks to the standard all-wheel drive and inherent off-road capabilities. However, the Outback is primarily designed for on-road driving, and on pavement, it hardly shines. As if the sluggish CVT and weak base engine weren't enough to undermine the driving pleasure, the Outback's engineering limitations also reduce the fun factor. While compact and mid-size crossovers aren't known for sporty handling, there are more capable options on the market in that regard. Reason number 1. Only a few models offer good value for money. With a starting price of $28,896 before adding mandatory fees, the base Subaru Outback seems like a good deal, especially considering the included all-wheel drive. However, the lack of some desired features and the outdated infotainment system clearly diminish its value. The premium trim at $31,100 is probably the best choice for Outback buyers, as it eliminates most of the base model's drawbacks without straining the budget too much. Higher trims quickly become expensive and likely don't offer the same value for money as the second-in-line trim. For example, limited models bump the Outback's price up to $35,790, which means a jump of nearly $5,000 compared to what we see as the optimal premium version. That's almost twice the difference between the base model and premium. Among the rest of the trims, of which there are plenty, only the Onyx Edition models fall into a relatively affordable price range, requiring $36,500. The same goes for the turbocharged Onyx Edition XT and Limited XT models, while the top Touring XT model starts at a hefty $42,715, making the optional powerful engine a rather pricey purchase that turns off many buyers. Overall, the Subaru Outback is a reliable, all-around vehicle for a compact mid-size crossover. It offers practicality, safety, and personality in spades, while keeping a competitive price, at least in some trims. However, the Outback won't suit those looking for a dynamic crossover for intense city driving or the best highway option. These drawbacks can be mitigated, but you'll have to pay for it, literally, in the form of the final price, and less tangibly, in the form of worsened fuel economy. The Outback is perfect for any family, despite its flaws. After all, the class-leading cargo and passenger space figures and impressive safety ratings speak for themselves. For families, it's a matter of perspective and how much a potential buyer values the Outback's strengths to overlook its weaknesses. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next review.